I have exposed my own personal opinion on this a couple of times. It's my show. I reserve that right to do that from time to time. So I feel like it should be no surprise the things that I think on the situation. Oh, nerds, it is a day. Some personal issues yesterday, so if this goes up late, I'm blaming that. Big personal issues that I'm really not going to get into this time. So, yeah, wonderful day today, though, hopefully, and we've got a lot of nerd news to discuss. Specifically, we're putting in a new section for this episode. The new section will be a sporadic kind of section. When things need to be called out, they will get called out in the Callouts section. Yeah, super original, right? Anyway, thank you for joining me. This is the week in Nerdom. Let's hit that intro. Only housekeeping right now is to remind you to subscribe. I hope I am earning your subscription with today's episode. I am trying to not get overly political. That's not what this channel is about. I'm not here to talk politics, personal, in like the governing body politics, anything like that. I just want to let you guys know of the things that are happening. And in today's climate, that is kind of difficult to do. So our first little portion is going to be a new section. That new section is, I'm calling it Callouts. And the reason I'm calling it Callouts is because, the Gina Carano situation. Let's just lay it out on the table. We've been keeping tabs on it as much as we can without getting into the politics. I know I have exposed my own personal opinion on this a couple of times. It's my show. I reserve that right to do that from time to time. So I feel like it should be no surprise the things that I think on the situation. But we just have people on both sides kind of digging in. Well, I say both sides. Really, the digging in part is the Disney part, and then all of the media outlets that are kind of on the teat, if you will, are shilling that same product. So yeah, here we go. Let's get into callouts. I'm calling out a couple of things. First thing that I wanted to call out has to do with coverage of the situation. Comicbook.com, I'm going to read a quote very briefly. So that quote, really, really quick. Comicbook.com says this: to recap, the end of Carano's time in the galaxy far, far away came after Carano made a post conflating persons with conservative viewpoints in the modern era to Jews in the time leading up to Nazi Germany. Unlike other statements she's made, Carano deleted the post that day, but the damage was already done, end quote. Okay, so this has to do, the reason they said this is because Bob Chapek is doing the investors call today, and somebody asked him very pointedly about the firing of Gina Carano. We're going to get into what Chapek had to say about that, because that is the other part of this. But the call out here is comicbook.com, very specifically comicbook.com saying that, first off, that she conflated persons with conservative viewpoints to those of Jews leading up to Nazi Germany. That's a bit of a paraphrase. What I said before is the exact quote that they have posted on the website. I have it linked down in the description, so go check it out. But that is not what the post said. The post was saying people of differing viewpoints. If you make somebody who thinks different than you into something other than human, that is what she was conflating to victims of Nazi Germany. Again, it was kind of a sloppy comparison. I will give you that. It was probably not something that she should have done. I will give you that. But let's not strawman this. Let's not put words into the woman's mouth. Let's just go on what she said. And then the other half of this is saying that she deleted the post. So I don't know if you know, but it was posted as, I believe it was posted as a fleet on her Twitter. If not, it was posted as a story on her Instagram, both of which automatically delete. Automatically. It's just gone. There it goes. Goodbye. That's the nature of the post. I'm sure, and Gina Carano is not a stupid person. She knows that the internet is forever. So I don't think that she had any intention of hiding this belief from people. So to say this in this way is very deliberately painting this person out to be something that she's not. Namely, a coward who thinks that her suffering is equal to that of Jews from the Holocaust. Neither of these things I feel like are accurate statements. So I'm calling that one out. The other half of this, again, like I said, Bob Chapek on the investors call today was asked very specifically about the firing of Gina Carano. So that specific question garnered this response. I don't really see Disney as characterizing itself as left-leaning or right-leaning. Yet instead of standing for values that are universal, values of respect, values of decency, values of integrity, and values of inclusion, and we seek to have the content that we make reflective, of the rich diversity of the world we live in. And I think that's a world we should all live in harmony and peace. So this non-answer is kind of saying, well, she was promoting violence in some way because he's talking about harmony and peace. So the extrapolation that you can come to from that point is that, well, if you're trying to garner this kind of environment, you're trying to promote the harmony and peace of the environment, then to fire somebody, if this is your argument, means that they were trying to promote something opposite of that. So let's go back to the quote, the actual comparison. I don't have the quote. I didn't look up the exact quote. If you guys get really grumpy with me, I'll go look up the exact quote because I will read the fleet or the story, whichever. I can't remember exactly which one it was posted to, but it was a story or a fleet, one of those automatically deleting platforms. So let's go back to that. So what she's saying is it is dangerous to turn people who think differently from you into something other than human, because that's how we can justify killing them. Right? So that's what she was saying. So that is somehow, according to Disney CEO Bob Chapek, that is apparently promoting violence when not 8 months, maybe it was a little bit more than 8 months, 10 months, something along those lines. Lead of the show, Pedro Pascal, literally called people who thought differently from him Nazis. Do we not see, no pun intended there, do we not see a double standard here? Is this not, like, I don't like defending things that are sloppily done. I don't like defending things from people I don't necessarily agree with. And for me to say I do agree that othering people is a bad thing. So I do agree with that point. I believe the point was very sloppily made and could have been a little bit more eloquent. Absolutely. So I don't like defending the non-eloquence of people in Hollywood at all, regardless of how much I agree with their opinions. It's just like when I would get into political debates when Trump was still president. Like, I hated the guy, but pick something that he actually did to hate him for, not just things that you perceived that he might have done behind closed doors, because that is not a legitimate reason for anything. Anyway, so that's what we're calling out. I'm calling out comicbook.com for deliberately misquoting and misleading their readers, misquoting the source and misleading their readers. I am also calling out Bob Chapek for his non-answer, implying that his former employee was promoting violence. Neither of these things are good, and this is not doing anything positive for the community. And now, let's get into the actual beef of the episode, the news! Okay. a little serious to start things off. Honestly, we're going to keep that serious vibe going for a second in the music section. In music, unfortunately, we have another death. This one, though, not as surprising as the last few. The lead vocalist for the band Entombed AD, former vocalist for the band Entombed. His name was Lars Goran Petrov. I apologize for mispronouncing his name. I'm sure there's some accent somewhere that I missed, and I do apologize. But the vocalist has passed away. LG Petrov is how most people have been referring to him that knew him on like the Twitters and stuff. So Petrov did have cancer. He had bile duct cancer, and he finally lost his battle with the bile duct cancer. He was 49. Entombed, pretty decent band. Not a band I listen to with any sort of regularity, but not a band I would turn away from either. So if you like heavy music, definitely, at least for the sake of honoring a dead brethren, listen to some Entombed today, and we're going to take a moment for LG Petrov. Okay. All right, so all of the somber and all of the really serious stuff done. Episode continues. We have Kings of Leon. This one's really weird. So Kings of Leon have released. It happened on the 5th. Like I said, in one of the teasers. I meant to do this in the last episode, but the research for this is really weird. I didn't have it all together. So as of March 5th, when the Kings of Leon released their actual CD, they also released the NFTs for said album. And now we have to talk about what a freaking NFT is. So NFT stands for non-fungible token. It has something to do with cryptocurrency. So by all intents and purposes, it's made up. But from what I can gather, and I know there's been other people that have said this much more eloquently than I in the last few months or so, since NFTs have become much more in the public eye. But from what I can gather, NFTs are effectively a piece of verifiable digital currency that is not necessarily spendable as currency unto itself. An NFT marks a moment in time, and then the owner of said moment can turn that moment into digital events. That's not the right word. It can turn that moment into digital keepsakes. There you go. Into digital keepsakes. And those digital keepsakes are verified through certain sources as being non-fungible. Non-fungible means that it cannot be replaced by anything similar. Because there is nothing similar, it is very specifically this serial number for this moment in time, effectively. I mean, that's very, very loose layman way of describing it, but that's what I can gather. So Kings of Leon, for this new record, I didn't even write down the name of the record because the real big piece here is the non-fungible bit. This new record is a series of non-fungible tokens. The weird thing about NFTs is that the owner of the moment that is being translated into NFTs, if you listen to some of the people describe an NFT, it makes it sound like it is a unique piece to that one moment, when really, in fact, the owner of the moment can turn that moment into as many NFTs as they desire and then sell off each one of those for actual money. So, like, Graves has done this, the artist that is married to Elon Musk. She has the kid with him. She makes decent kind of gothy pop kind of stuff. She honestly just signed with a new record label, but that's when she puts out music, we'll talk about it. But so she put out a bunch of music as NFTs. I think visual art as well as NFTs. So she made a boatload of cash. There have been a number of things. NFTs became a thing in 2017, so this has been going for a little while, 4 years to be exact. it's such a weird non-concept that I don't see this. I see this being a new digital bubble. I see this being, oh my gosh, NFTs are the coolest thing. And then in like 8 years, nobody's going to care that you bought that NFT. We're actually going to get into more NFT stuff in the gaming and tech section. So that's where I'm going to leave it for now. That is the music section for this episode. Let's jump into gaming and tech. Before we get into the header, the lead piece into this, we do have a follow-up. That follow-up has to do with Bethesda, that Microsoft acquisition of ZeniMax. What is it? ZeniMax Productions? ZeniMax Studios. There we go. The Microsoft acquisition has gone through, so now Microsoft owns ZeniMax and all of their subsidiaries, which includes Bethesda. We have gotten word that future Bethesda games, we've known this for a little while, by and large are still going to be multi-platform, but Sony has bought a couple of studios in the past that have kind of phased out that multi-platform idea. Sounds like Microsoft is going to do the same thing with Bethesda, probably, because they have said that we will be making some games that are exclusive to PC and Xbox. You're just going to have to deal with it. So yeah, it's done. It is official as of today, I believe. It sounded like it was either yesterday or today. Either way, as you're watching this, it was probably yesterday. But yeah, that's what we have for follow-ups. And then we're getting into the actual news piece. And this one actual news piece has to do with Twitter. That's right. Twitter. Jack Dorsey himself is selling NFTs for the first tweet ever. Just testing out my Twitter, I think is what it says. It is from Dorsey himself to the world. And I haven't seen any bids on it yet. I don't know exactly where he's going to be listing these NFTs. I don't even know how many NFTs he's going to create for it. But again, to recap from the previous section, NFTs are non-fungible tokens. They are digital nothings, and people are paying millions of dollars for them so that they can have this weird digital keepsake that, again, I wholeheartedly believe in approximately I'll give it a range even. Let's say 8 to 12 years, nobody's going to care anymore. Not even a little bit. So the fact that some of these NFTs, some artists are selling these NFTs for literally multi-million dollar sales. And I would imagine the first tweet, he's going to make at least a dozen NFTs for it. And they're going to sell for probably close to $1 billion, triple digits in the millions at the least. Is just bonkers to me. So yeah, it's digital nothing. It's not actual currency. There is no standard to which these NFTs are being held, in that you can't say an NFT is worth this much actual currency. You can't even say an NFT is worth this much digital currency or cryptocurrency. An NFT is only as valuable as an auction item anywhere else. So if nobody wants it, again, which I think is going to happen, then nobody's going to give you your money back for this moment in time that you claim. And you don't even get the rights to said moment in time. That's the other big thing about NFTs. The tweet does not come down. You do not have a digital store case that this is the only place this thing exists. It is still potentially digitally piratable. There's just so much potential issue here. I can't believe how crazy everybody's going over NFTs. They're amazing. They're the newest thing and awesome. I just don't see it. But that is what we have in gaming and tech, guys. Normally, we would now be going into comic books and books, but it's slow news. Let's get into TV streaming. We do have a couple of follow-ups here. First up, Superman and Lois, after a record-breaking premiere episode, as well as a pretty solid second episode, it's going on hiatus. Como? What is going on here? So it seems that during production, there was some issues dealing with the virus, if you catch my drift, because apparently we can't say the actual name of it without being like shadow banned or whatever. So there was an issue dealing with a sickness that just happens to be going around the world right now. That put a kind of a monkey wrench in the whole works for the rest of this season. So in its place, we're just going to get the final season of Supergirl airing a little bit earlier, and then presumably in the second half of this season times, because CW runs approximately 13 episode seasons for most of their newer things. Obviously Supernatural and such from years ago did not follow this, but it seems to be approximately 13 episodes per quote-unquote season, whereas normally it was like 20 to 23 episodes per season. So now with that extra time, that is presumably where we're going to be seeing the rest of the Superman and Lois season 1. And in the meantime, we're going to be getting the end of Supergirl. Interesting. That's all we got, though, so we're going to be moving on. Next piece that we have in TV streaming is also a follow-up. We're talking Powerpuff Girls. The live-action show, this is a real quick update, live-action show has announced casting for the girls. We have Chloe Bennett, Dove Cameron, and Yana Peralt all have been cast as the Powerpuff Girls. Bubbles, it's been so long since I watched it, I don't remember. And only one of them looks very obvious as to which character she was cast as. The other two, honestly, could kind of be either of the... it'll be interesting. We're definitely going to be keeping tabs on this because I'm super intrigued by this concept, and we're moving on. Our one piece of actual news is kind of cross between TV and movies and streaming. It's all encompassing. It has to do with Pepe Le Pew has been canceled. I feel like we should have saw this one coming. This should not be a surprise to anybody. Rapey skunk man no longer going to be in any Warner Brothers. This is not just the Space Jam movie, because everybody's making a big stink because he was originally supposed to be in the Space Jam movie over a year ago. Keep that in mind. This cut happened more than a year ago. Okay, so Pepe Le Pew is no longer going to be in Space Jam, and everybody's losing their mind about that. But we have another announcement, another press release from Warner Brothers saying, actually, he's not going to be in anything going forward. He's just been retired. There is a possibility, because he is a cartoon, they could rework his image. I feel like that's going to be quite the task, should they choose to do so. But it sounds like, by all accounts, he's just being retired because he's no longer culturally appropriate. And I feel like he kind of hasn't been culturally appropriate since like the 80s, but that's just me, and I've always been weirded out by Pepe Le Pew, and that's what we have for TV streaming. Now we are into the movies section. Movies is slightly larger, only in that we have more news and less follow-ups than the TV streaming section. Our one follow-up for today's episode in movies has to do with A Quiet Place 2. I'm super excited about this. New release date is May 28th of this year, so crossing fingers that this doesn't move again, please? I really want to see this movie. Can this be one of those that just slips through between all the shutdowns, please? But yeah, that's all we have for follow-ups. Next, we're talking about a new movie coming to you from Amazon Studios called Hellsing. That is an adaptation of, where is the guy's name? Kouta Hirano. It's supernatural in nature, in that Dracula is no longer Dracula. Dracula is now going by Alucard, which I honestly thought the first instance of that was in the Castlevania game series, but maybe I'm wrong. He is working for the Hellsing Agency that is run by the original Van Helsing's granddaughter, which is interesting. He's still a vampire, but he's helping to fight off other vampires, to rid the world effectively of other vampires, ghouls, and other supernatural threats. This sounds like a pretty awesome series. I'm very intrigued as to why they decided to go movie with this. The guy who's writing the script for this is Derek Kolstad, who was one of, I think he was actually the main writer for the John Wick movies, at least one of the John Wick movies. So yeah, pretty freaking interesting. Supernatural meets John Wick meets Dracula meets I don't know the ethnicity of Kuwata Hirano. Some sort of Asian ethnicity. I apologize for being ill-informed on his origins, but either way, sounds awesome. I'm super excited about this, and since it's coming to you from Amazon Studios, we can probably bank on the fact that it is going to be, if it's released in theaters at all, it will be simultaneously released on Amazon Prime, but that has not been made explicitly clear. Once we know, we'll keep tabs on it. Right now, we're moving on to our final piece in movies, and it has to do with Jumanji. Jumanji isn't going away anytime soon. And this is not a done deal. This just comes from one of the upper-ups over at 7 Bucks Studios, one of the production houses that's responsible for Jumanji. He was talking to comicbook.com saying that there is early workings right now for a 4th Jumanji movie, because this is a thing that we need. That, though, is all that we have in movies, guys. Now let's get to the rumor mill and GTFOH. All right, so rumor mill, we're going to keep this fairly short and sweet. First up, we have a Green Lantern Corps rumor. There is now a big rumor that this is kind of a variation on a rumor that we had about a month or two ago, saying that Hal Jordan is in fact going to make an appearance in the new series, even though he's not listed as one of the characters. He's not going to be a main character, according to the rumor. The rumor says that their plan is that they're going to introduce Hal towards the end of the first season. He's going to become a series regular of sorts in season 2, all as a means to clean up his image, because the Ryan Reynolds movie left such a sour taste in the world's mouth that they want to do this slowly. Now, because of that, I feel like there is a little bit more legitimacy to this. This honestly comes from a pretty decent source, a very unique source in that there's no way I can corroborate any of this rumor, so that kind of works against it. But the plan to introduce a brand new character into this world through this series does not bode well, because we know how nerds react when you do such things. If you're creating somebody specifically for a thing that wasn't in the source material, then they get really upset. You have to create them in the source material first and then work them into the new thing, right? So since they're not doing that, since they're just introducing this new protagonist into this world willy-nilly, I feel like the only way to salvage that in the eyes of the base that they are going for is to have a big name somewhere in this. Yes, I realize that like the other Green Lanterns that they are using are also big names, but none are as big as Hal Jordan. Honestly, Jon Stewart would be the only other option, so I feel like it could be Stewart as well, but this rumor specifically says that it's going to be Hal. I feel like in this instance, either one would be acceptable. Likelihood that this is a viable rumor, that there is any sort of basis in reality for this, I think is fairly solid. I originally, when looking into this, was going to go about 50-50, but I feel like it's honestly a little bit higher than that. We're going to go about 60% viability for this to be an actual thing. Our next rumor has to do with WandaVision. It only starts in WandaVision. I realize WandaVision just ended, and boy, who else was kind of disappointed? Like, I set my expectations low because I had heard all of the things we talked about in the last episode, but like, wow, that was not what I was expecting, even with my lowered expectations, right? Anyone with me on this? Like, it was good. I understand why Kevin Smith got emotional when he was watching it, because it was still good. Like, there was still emotional weight. The acting was still very expertly done. My issue was with the direction and the writing, and there was so much more interesting stuff that they could have done. I understand Feige has a plan, but boy, did he drop the ball at this point in his plan, I feel like. Anyway, to the rumor. Evan Peters, as we well know, at least as far as this series is concerned, Evan Peters is not Quicksilver. He's just some guy named Ralph Boner. Get it out of your system. Yeah, you done with the giggles? Okay. So Ralph is just an actor according to what they gave us in WandaVision. So this new rumor kind of goes off of a line that we got from Jimmy Woo, in that, I apologize, I can't remember the actor's name who played Jimmy. Anyway, in that he said when it was the third episode, I believe, where they're standing outside of the hex because they can't see it necessarily. And he said the reason he found out that such a thing had happened was because he had somebody in that town that was there in a witness protection situation, and he was going to check on them, and there was no way to get a hold of them. So that's how it was found out. So the rumor says that that person was this Ralph Boner. Ralph is actually Peter Maximoff from the Fox universe. He was just there as an undercover, effectively. And because Agatha didn't know that, she brainwashed him into thinking that he was her husband, and therefore hilarity ensued and things happened. So this rumor is saying that we will find out that he is actually from the multiverse in Doctor Strange 2. So we still have Spider-Man No Way Home happening, and then Doctor Strange 2 happening, and that's when all will be revealed. So this is grasping at straws, I feel like. I initially on this one wanted to go a little bit higher than I'm going to as well. I feel like they put Peters in here as a red herring just to mess with the fans, just to get us to start to speculate on these rumors and to play with these ideas, because they want to see where our minds are at so they know how much they can screw with us. So honestly, I don't even think this is 40% validity. I think we're looking at 30% validity. There is a distinct possibility that this could happen. I'm just not putting a lot of weight behind it. So moving right along, we have Man of Steel 2 back in the rumor mill. New rumor is saying that if the Snyder Cut does well, then we're going to get Man of Steel 2. We are going to find this one out soon enough. So but there's too much going against this. There's too much of Zack Snyder saying he's not coming back to DCEU. Too much possibility that Henry Cavill's contract does not include this, and Warner Brothers is, in fact, looking to go a different direction. A lot of signs are pointing to that. So there's not a lot to support this rumor. And then we have those other rumors saying that we're getting Ben Affleck Batman series on HBO Max. So why would they do Man of Steel 2? Oh, that's the other part of this. It's going to go directly to HBO Max and may or may not be a series. And just all of these may or may not, and probably and might do this, and hopefully will do that. Just working against this. We're going 20% validity of this rumor. Our next rumor has to do with Harry Potter. This is actually a variation of a rumor that, again, we got approximately a month or two ago, saying that there is, in fact, another Harry Potter movie in the works, and it's going to be based on the Cursed Child musical that is in London, I believe, maybe on Broadway, one of the two. And that they are trying to get the original cast to come back. Emma Watson, apparently, also according to another related rumor, is the holdout of the three main originals. Harry, Hermione, and yeah, I'm not a huge Harry Potter guy. I'm not going to lie. Can't think of his name right now. Totally brain farting. Anyway, so the three originals, the ginger kid. Why can't I think of his name? I feel like such a worthless person. Yeah, so that's the rumor, is that Emma Watson is presumably the one that's being the most difficult to come back to this. And there is so much that's not lining up for this one. We're going to go 25% here as for the validity, just because Harry Potter's huge, but J.K. Rowling's been in hot water recently, and like Warner Brothers is trying to beef up their outings. They are releasing that new Harry Potter game, so that kind of plays in concession with this, but still, I can't go above 25%. There's just not enough solid there to make this seem viable. Our final rumor for today's episode, actually, no, I apologize. There is one more rumor before the final rumor. One more rumor is Deadpool. This is, again, just another source for rumor we've heard previously, saying that Deadpool is going to be the new Stan Lee and that he's going to be the cameo in the MCU that happens in almost, if not every movie. So far, that's already been proven wrong. I'm giving this one 15% viability. And the only reason it's getting that extra, honestly, 10% of viability is because I really want it to happen. But I just, like I said, it's already been proven to not be a thing. Because if he were, quote unquote, the new Stan Lee, then he would have had a cameo in WandaVision. He would have a cameo somehow in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. I don't think that's going to happen. He would have a cameo in Loki. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he will have some cameos. Yes, I think there will be a couple of movies that he is not a major player in that he will walk in and will be on screen for all of 5 to 10 seconds. Sure, I think that'll happen maybe 3 to 5 times. Anything more than that, I really think is going to be a surprise. Going to be a renegotiation of his contract even. So again, 15% viability that they're going to take it to that level. We've already distinguished the difference. Anyway, our final rumor has to do with, and this one I just had to kill. There's no way this rumor is accurate. So Predator and Alien both, according to 2 separate rumors, are going to have animated series, I think in the case of the Alien franchise, are going to both be getting series and one apparently animated over on Netflix. Did we miss the part where they got bought out by Disney? Like, what? Why would anyone believe this rumor? I know there was, when Fox still owned those properties, there was talks, there was even pre-production happening on I believe it was the Predator series on Netflix, so that is legit. I think there might have even been something, pad on paper kind of stuff that had to do with the Alien franchise as well, but no, the fact that this even mentions Netflix as a possibility automatically 100% discredits it. So there is a 0% chance that this is going to happen because Netflix? Really? Come on, nerds. Are we this gullible? That is all we have for the rumor section, though, guys. All we have for the episode as well. So what did I miss? What should we talk about in the next episode? Let me know in the comments down below. There's a website, generallynerdy.net, patreon.com/generallynerdy if you want to support, youtube.com/generallynerdy if that's not where you're watching me already or listening or whatever. Those are all the places. On the website, there's a store. There's a couple of stores. You can go get some nerdy swag. I really have some cool ideas. I need people to support a little more before I can really go whole hog, because I do have a day job still, so I got to pay the bills somehow, right? Anyway, so I appreciate you nerds. Thank you very much for those of you that join me on every episode. I know there is quite a few of you actually, but yeah, thank you very much. I'm gonna head out now. Right about now, there is boxes that you should be able to click or tap on the right of my face. It's actually my left, but you're right. That you should be able to click or tap and do the things and see all of the other stuff going on the YouTube channel. Again, assuming that's where you're watching. Thank you very much, nerds. I'm going to go now. Always remember, though, that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.